Okay, here we are. Welcome to a live edition of Good Podcasting right here on Summit City Studios. My name is Brian. I run the channel here. I have a podcast called Good Podcasting, and my goal really is to help you be able to create, launch, and grow your podcast or your YouTube channel. And today we are talking about how to be a confident creator. That is something that so many people that I talk to really wrestle with and struggle with. And maybe you do too. Maybe that's why you're here. Maybe that's why you're watching. Maybe you're here watching because I invited you, but I'm glad you're here. If you have questions, if you have thoughts, I would just invite you throughout the stream to drop them in the chat. I would love to be able to throw those up on the screen and address those kind of with the audience that jumps in today. So today, let me just tell you, this stream is sponsored by Riverside FM. Riverside is it's a podcast platform that I've used for a number of years now, and I found that it's one of the best, one of the easiest things to use. It's a video conferencing built for podcasters, and they've added all sorts of new features since I started using it. Today, we're going to highlight a few of those. If you're interested in Riverside FM, as we talk today, as we go, there is a link in the description of this video. And you want to test it out, you want to try it out, click that link. And then when you check out whatever plan, whatever pricing package that you pick, use code Good Podcasting for 15% off of that package. Now, we're going to talk just briefly about Riverside before we jump into the content today about how to be a confident creator, because I know that's what you're here for. But I do want to tell you a little bit about Riverside FM. So let me back out of here. And Riverside is, as I mentioned, it's an all-in-one podcast recording and editing suite. Everything from sending out invitations to your guests to recording your content to creating social media clips with their Magic Clips feature, and then using their automatic transcription feature to create captions for those social media clips. It's fantastic. It's an awesome service all in one. They even have now Magic Audio that will mix your audio for you. You can edit individual tracks if you want to dive that deep into it, or you can just let Riverside do a lot of that work for you. Now, they have ventured into the realm of live streaming, which is one reason we're doing this live today. And I did want to share a little bit with you about their live stream platform, because this is the thing that right now I'm most excited about. And if you are, again, as we talk today about being a confident creator, one of the things that kept me from live streaming was my confidence in my ability to navigate a live stream platform and be able to talk and multitask and all that. But Riverside has made it really easy to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do here is let me share my screen for just a moment and just show you a couple of things that Riverside offers. And I apologize, you're going to get this infinity screen, and there's going to be a whole lot of me. And so just ignore that. But let me show you here on the menu here on the side of the screen here. You will see the people tab that's there all the time, but the things that they've included with the live stream features, is multi-platform live streaming. So right now we're just streaming to YouTube, but we could throw this out to Facebook and X and LinkedIn if we wanted to, and anywhere else that we would have a stream key to link to. So fantastic multi-platform streaming that they've included here. You have multi-platform chat. So any of you watching on YouTube, this will come in here today, and we'll throw that up on the screen, and we'll talk about that. But if you're watching anywhere else that I would happen to be streaming to, if I did that, it would pull all of those comments into this one chat. It's got branding here, so I can set up my own studio space, what it looks like, how the text shows up on the screen. And then the text feature here, we'll get to some of these, but these are your lower thirds that you can throw up on the screen. And then even a media browser here. So the video that you saw intro into this live stream came from this media browser. You can put audio clips, video clips in there, whatever you want. Fantastic options there for creators if you are looking to live stream. So again, if you are interested in checking out Riverside FM, I will throw up a code here on the screen again. So if you want to check it out, try it out, do a trial, riverside.fm. There actually is a link in the description. Click that link and then use code good podcasting for 15% off of whatever subscription you decide to go with. So there you go. Let's jump into today's content because, again, that's why you're all here. That's what we advertise. That's why you want to jump on today. So I want to talk about how to build your confidence as a creator. And the reason I want to do this is for two reasons. One, I talk to a lot of people who want to get on video. They feel like their company needs to create more social media video content. They feel like maybe to build their brand and their social media presence that they need to get on video a little bit more often, more frequently, but they're just not confident on camera. And it's something that really holds people back. So I myself work full-time as a communications director, and there are times that I need to get people on camera and they just are really, really hesitant to do it. And so I'm spending time coaching them. But I thought, what it did was it pushed me back to about 6, 7, 8 years ago before I was on camera on a regular basis. And it brings me back to the feelings I had when I first sat down in front of a camera. I remember for an organization I was working for, I had to do some video announcements on occasion, and I was terrified. I was terrified to forget what I was going to talk about, terrified about how I was going to sound. Nobody likes the sound of their voice on camera, on video, on audio. Nobody likes the way they look initially on camera. So I just remember those feelings and have to remember when I invite someone to step in front of a camera to film something, or someone is wanting to step in front of a camera to create some content for their own social media, for their company, those are a lot of the same feelings. And so obviously I've learned to overcome most of that, not all of that. There's still some nerves before you hit record when you jump on. But I do want to just share a little bit of what I've learned about this process, because let's say in 2018, I started podcasting. I didn't know what I was doing, but we were just audio and I didn't have to worry about video. People were starting to do video then, but then in 2020, I got down, started my first YouTube channel, and I stood in front of the camera. That's something we'll talk about here in just a moment. I stood in front of the camera and I blanked. I knew I needed to do this, but I didn't know how to do it. And so if you go back and you look at some of my early videos on the other channel that I had created, I look really stiff and, I don't know, boring to watch. And so I learned along the way. So let's get into a couple of things that I've learned that have helped me be more confident on camera. The first one here is to know your content. Know what you are going to talk about. And that sounds so basic. Of course, I'm not getting in front of a camera. Of course, I'm not going to deliver content if I don't know the content. But let me just ask you this. Do you remember in high school when you had to do a speech, public speaking? Do you remember the feelings of fear and the sweaty palms that you had? And most of it, at least for me, maybe for you, was because I didn't really know what I was talking about. I did enough research to create an outline, but I knew if I was questioned, I wouldn't know what the answer might be. So I was afraid I wouldn't know the answer. So that's part of it. And again, that sounds super basic, but if you are going to get in front of a camera, know your content, do your research. Part of that is having an outline, having a script. We could go round and round about the value of scripting something word for word or just having a bullet point outline, but we don't necessarily need to do that today. I'm just saying having something in front of you that helps guide you from point A when you start your podcast to point B where you end your podcast or your video content. Having that map, that roadmap for that episode or for that video is something that will help you know your content and feel a little bit more confident, because when you know what you're talking about, you feel a little bit more confident talking about it. And confidence in your content goes a long way, not just for you, but also for your viewer. Have you listened to someone speak so confidently about something they know nothing about because they have the ability to do that, to speak with confidence, to speak with boldness, and you kind of want to believe it, even though you know they're wrong? That's what speaking with confidence does. When you know your content, it helps you feel more confident and helps your viewer feel more confident in you that you know what you're talking about. So that was knowing your content. It's one of the most basic but most important things that you can do to feel confident as a creator. Now, let's talk about this next one, asking for feedback. This one can be difficult. This one can be really, really hard because a lot of us are afraid of negative comments. We're afraid of negative feedback. We don't want anybody to really see what we're doing, at least people we know, because we're afraid of the comments that we might get in response to that. But I just want to challenge you that asking for feedback is one of the best things that you can do, and you have to be humble about it. This is something you have to just go to someone that you trust, that you know has your best interest at heart, and just ask, how did it look? How did it feel? Did I look confident? Did I look nervous? My hands were shaking. Could you see that? Ask those types of questions and ask that person or those other people, that group of people, for the feedback that you know that you need. And then invite them to share other things that maybe they saw that you aren't specifically asking about. Look, feedback can be your best friend. And it's hard to hear sometimes, but it's the one of the most important things, which all these are, that you can do to feel confident as a creator. Because if you can begin to eliminate the things that are distracting, or you can begin to eliminate the filler words that you use all the time, or you can eliminate other things that, really trip you up in your content delivery because someone else sees them on a regular basis and you've invited that conversation. Most people aren't going to tell you that unless you ask. So you have to be proactive in asking for this feedback. Now, I did say I want to highlight that ask someone who knows what they're doing and has your best interest at heart. So there's a difference here between asking your best friend who doesn't want to hurt your feelings what they thought of the video versus asking a seasoned video content creator their opinion and their thought and asking them for their feedback. So find spaces, Facebook groups or otherwise, where there are other people doing what you are doing, and just invite their comments, invite their feedback. That will help you feel more confident as a creator getting in front of the camera. Now, this next one is a little bit more difficult, right? We talked about knowing your content. We talked about asking for feedback. And again, let me just stop there for a second. When you ask for feedback, you have to respond to that feedback too. If it's something that you know that is never going to change, that's going to be hard. But if it's something like little tweaks here and there, filler words that you use, those things can change. So respond to that feedback and try and get better, a little bit better with each video. All right, this next one I wanted to share is something, again, that I've learned to stop doing, and that is to stop comparing yourself to other video content creators. Having said that, I think it's important that we have exemplars or models, people that we look to, people that have a channel, a space, and their audio, their video set up in a similar way to what we hope to do. But comparing yourself to that person is a real challenge because it's always going to make you feel less than. And for me, I was watching a lot of tech channels, right? When I started my podcast, when I started Summit City Studios and I started Good Podcasting, I was watching, and even before that, when I started my first YouTube channel, it was a Bible teaching channel. And I was watching a lot of tech reviews because I wanted my background, I wanted my audio, I wanted my video to look really crisp and sound really clear. And so I was watching a lot of tech reviews. And for the channel that I was doing, the teaching channel that I was doing that had nothing to do with tech reviews, I had my background and everything set up to look like a tech review channel. And I was called out on it by a friend of mine who uh, he was on for an interview one day and he goes, "You watch a lot of tech reviews, don't you?" And I knew then that I had taken a misstep because I was trying to compare myself to the creators that I was watching and not just being who I was and creating a backdrop and a set that really matched with my content at that time. Now, obviously, it looks much more techy and tech reviewish because that's what we do here on this channel, and that's what I gravitated toward. But I was part of that was because I was comparing myself to other creators, and I wanted to look, act, sound, and speak like they did, and it was a challenge for me. Now, the thing you have to remember with this is those people, while they could be models for you, people to look towards, people to try and move to, I don't know, create your channel similarly, they've been at it for a long time. So if you are just starting out and you're nervous to get in front of a camera, understand that those people that you're watching, this channel that you're watching, I've been doing this for a number of years now. And I feel much more confident on camera. It's not going to be easy to compare yourself starting out to someone who's been doing it for 5 or 6 years now. But if you look at my first couple of videos, they're terrible. They are terrible. And I look back, I don't even want to watch them because I felt so confident. I was nervous, but I felt confident in what I was delivering at the time, but it was bad. And I just want to tell you, not in a way to discourage you, but your first video is not going to be good. It's not going to be your best. Your second is going to be a little bit better, but not much. Your third is going to be slightly better, but not much. But the more you do this, the more you get in front of a camera and you know your content well, and you are asking for feedback on those first 2, 3, 4, 5 videos and continuing on, you'll find your rhythm and you will get better and you will find that confidence that you've been seeking in front of that camera. Now, one other thing on this topic of comparing yourself, stopping comparing yourself to other people is, as I mentioned, kind of my set, the way my set looked. But it really, when you're comparing yourself to others and other channels and other creators, it's really preventing you. It's putting up a wall that you don't even know is there, and it's preventing you from finding your own voice. Let me say that again. It's preventing you from finding your own voice and your own style because you are modeling what you are trying to do after someone else who's really confident and comfortable in front of a camera. So, while it's good, again, to have models and exemplars, try not as best you can to compare what you're doing to what they're doing. Experiment a little. Be who you are and not who someone else is. Does that make sense? Yeah, I hope so. Now, this last one here, before we get to this last one, let me throw a couple things up here on the screen. If you're interested, you're watching here on Summit City Studios on YouTube, but if you're interested in any of the services that I have to offer, that I provide, I do a lot of coaching and consulting with new podcasters. Confidence on camera is one of the things I like to talk about with new creators. But if you have, questions about your space, your set, what mic to use, what's the best equipment for the space that you're in, that's a lot of what I do. So you can find me at summitcitystudios.com. There's a contact form there. Just reach out to me, and I would love to get back in touch with you about whatever questions you have. Speaking of questions, if you do have questions, if you're watching live here, drop them in the chat. I would love to, at the end of this live, to be able to address some audience participation questions. So throw those in, and who knows, maybe they'll even set me up for another video specifically tailored to you. All right, let's jump into this last one that I think could be the hardest. And yet, once you get a handle on this, this could be the best thing that sets you up to be the most confident on camera that you could possibly be. And that is bumped something. Hey, there we go. I bumped something on the back of my mic. Here we are. We're back. Let me just say that again. Get comfortable being you. Now, this goes far beyond being comfortable on camera. This goes far beyond creating video content for social media. This goes deep, deep into your soul because so many of us aren't comfortable in our own skin. And so, again, I understand that this is a difficult one to get a hold of, but if you can find a way to do this, to be comfortable in who you are, be comfortable being you on a daily basis, that'll translate to being comfortable being you on camera. I know that is quite abstract, and that's deeper than maybe you expected on this channel today, on the stream. But here's a couple things that you can do on camera that help you be comfortable being you. These are things, again, that I've learned that I was trying to do similar to other people. And once I stopped doing that and I sat down and I realized that's not me, this is who I am, it was much easier to talk to the camera. So the first thing is wear something that makes you comfortable, but something that you feel confident in, right? Everybody has that outfit or those couple of outfits or those shoes or that jacket that make you feel a little more confident in who you are and what you're doing. It makes you feel maybe you have to stand up and give a presentation. Maybe you have a meeting at work and you just put that thing on that makes you feel most confident walking into a space that you would otherwise be nervous in. So as you sit in front of a camera, same thing. Wear something that makes you feel confident and makes you feel comfortable. Today, let me just be vulnerable here for a second and be real. I changed my shirt 3 times before I jumped on live because I didn't like what I was wearing. This is something that makes me feel comfortable and I think makes me feel a little bit more confident when I'm sitting down to record a video. I wear a lot of black shirts, and this one in particular is one that I love to wear. So I follow this even today, not just when I started, but even today. Find something, wear something that makes you feel comfortable and confident. The shoes I'm wearing today, I don't need to wear shoes, but I'm wearing shoes because the ones I'm wearing make me feel like I'm ready to go. I'm on, and here we go, right? So wear something that makes you feel comfortable and something that makes you feel confident. I'll keep talking here. Let me just throw this back up. Being comfortable being you, get comfortable being you. That's what we're talking about here. The place you record is something that maybe we don't think about, but find a place to record that makes you feel like it's a space that's comfortable for you. Now, if you're recording for your company, you're recording at the office, maybe there's a set location that everybody records in and you just have to get comfortable in that space. But if you're creating your own content, you're creating content at home, or you're doing something for yourself at your office, or you have the ability to decide where you're going to record something for your company or your organization, find a place that makes you feel comfortable and be in a position that makes you most comfortable. So right now I'm seated in a chair. It's kind of a high top, bar top stool that helps me sit up a little bit higher. But when I started, I was much more comfortable standing up and talking to the camera than I was sitting down. I always felt like I didn't have as much energy. I was kind of slouching and it just didn't look good. It didn't sound good if I were sitting. So I stood up. That's what made me feel more confident. But as I've gone, I've learned to be a little bit better as I'm seated, speak with a little bit more confidence and much more energy. And so here I sit on this channel in this chair for every video, in front of this microphone, in front of this camera, feeling pretty confident now. And I wasn't a few years ago when I started the channel. So find a place where you are comfortable and be in a position, sitting, standing, that makes you feel comfortable. It helps bring that confidence with it as well. Now, along with this is kind of a pet peeve of mine, and I'll just share this with you. It's not really a secret. I've actually talked about it in a few other videos that I've created here on Summit City Studios and talked about on Good Podcasting. But talk to the camera. talk to the camera lens. Here's why I think this helps us feel a little bit more confident. Because when we're looking at the viewfinder, many of us have a tendency to flip this open and look at ourselves in the viewfinder instead of the lens. Now, the viewfinder might be right above the lens, it might be right next to the lens, and it might not feel like a big deal. So let me just demonstrate. My viewfinder, I'm looking dead at the camera right now, dead at the camera lens. My viewfinder is attached to the camera, it's right next to it. So maybe you can't even tell lens, viewfinder, lens, viewfinder. You can probably see my eyes move a little bit, but it's so far away, it's not that big a deal. But when you are filming something, typically, you're going to have the camera a little bit closer, your phone a little bit closer to you. And let me just show you, if I'm looking at the lens, this is what it looks like. If I'm looking at this viewfinder, this is what it looks like. I remove that and I'm looking about 2 feet to the left of my camera. You can tell a difference, right? Here's why that's important in the context of feeling confident as a creator. If you're looking at your viewfinder, you're not only distracting your viewer because they're wondering what you are looking at, you're also distracting yourself because you're constantly focused on you. What do you look like? Are you in the right position? Do you sound okay? Is your mic right? You're always self-conscious when you're filming yourself, when you're looking at a viewfinder. So ignore that viewfinder. If possible, close it, flip it back, and trust that it's on, as long as you know it's on, and look at the lens. There's not going to be as much distraction, and you are just going to engage. It's going to be better engagement for your audience as you make eye contact with them and not be distracted with how you look on camera. As you talk to that lens, talk to the lens like you're talking to a friend of yours. I know that sounds awkward and that can be really difficult to get a grasp on, but just talk like you would normally talk to a friend. You're not in presentation mode. You don't have to be on and be perfect, which I'll address here in a second. But just talk. Pretend your friend is on the other side of that camera and you're looking through the camera, talking to him or talking to her, and you're just having a conversation. But for now, it's a one-way conversation. You're talking, they're not responding, but you trust that they're going to respond in the comments. If you're producing content for YouTube, you trust that they're going to respond as customers. If you're producing content for your company or your organization, but just talk, just be real. I'm going to do another live here coming up with a friend of mine talking about what I thought I knew about YouTube. And one of the things, I won't reveal all our secrets for that live, but one of the things that we're going to talk about is that I thought for YouTube, you had to be a pro. You had to be really polished and you had to be really, really good, or else no one would watch. And what I've learned is people now are just looking for authenticity. They're looking for content that matters to them. And you may not be the best at delivering it, but if you are the most real in your delivery, there's a lot of people, if they're looking for that content, that are going to tune in and they're going to subscribe and they're going to watch your videos. So be real, be authentic. And one way to do that is to look directly in the camera and just talk like you're talking to a friend. And again, please don't look at yourself in the viewfinder. It'll be better for all of us. Look directly into the camera lens. Let me check the chat here. It doesn't look like there's any questions here, and that's fine. If you do have questions, if you're watching this after the live ends, go ahead and continue to drop those in the comments here on YouTube. I'd be happy to respond. I try and respond to every comment that I get, and would love to answer those questions and maybe even connect with you and do a video on something that you just asked about here on this channel. Or on this video. Hey, let me just remind you before we close out today of that Riverside link. It's in the description below. Click the link if you're interested in checking out all these great live stream features that Riverside has to offer and all the editing, the suite of editing apps that they have already built in to the platform is fantastic. So check it out. Link in the description. Use code good podcasting, all one word, no spaces, to get yourself a 15% discount on whatever subscription that you decide to go with. You can find me again at summitcitystudios.com if you're interested in any of the services that I can offer, the consulting, coaching, helping you get set up, helping you launch your podcast or your YouTube channel. It's all stuff that I love to do, working with new content creators. So hit me up at summitcitystudios.com. And one last thing, if you're interested, I just thought I'd throw it out there. I don't talk about it much, but if you're interested in supporting the channel here, there's a link there for Buy Me a Coffee. It's just a way to just say thanks if you appreciate the content here. Again, I don't mention that in most of my videos, so ignore that if you don't care about that. But I just thought I'd throw it in there as well. So if you like what you saw today, if you found something helpful, let me know that in the comments, and consider subscribing to this channel, Summit City Studios, or the podcast, Good Podcasting, that's published here, but it's also in audio format. If you're just driving and you like listening to podcasts there, subscribe to or follow Good Podcasting wherever you get your podcasts. And I'll see you in the next video.